Welcome to Overcome Yourself, the podcast, where we rewrite stories, shift mindsets, and make dreams come true. I'm your host, Nicole Tuxbury. Let's get into today's episode. Hello there, and welcome back to the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. As you know, my name is Nicole, and I'm very excited to be here today with Tammy. And Tammy, I'm not going to butcher this, she helps people overcome trauma. Is that close enough?
Yep, that's close
All right.
enough.
Perfect. So take it away, Tammy, and please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and who you help.
Yeah, I am Tammy Cox. I am a trauma specialist. I mostly help women who are either looking for love or looking to save their love. I help them heal those wounds, the love wounds, and I help them heal their childhood wounds in order to really find that lasting love. So that's who I tend to help more than anyone else. But really, the work I do is around those trauma wounds in early childhood. So,
Okay, so as someone who lost her mom when she was just 1.5, I know all about childhood traumas and how they rear their ugly heads when you least expect it as a grown-up. So can you tell us a little bit about what it could mean to have childhood trauma? Because I used to be like, well, I'm just a kid from the suburbs. Like, I'm not traumatized. But then, as you grow up, you're like, oh, wait, that was trauma. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that means?
yeah, I think that's such a funny statement when I have so many people that said, "Oh, I didn't have a traumatic childhood." And yes, we all do. I mean, the birth experience itself is very traumatic. Do we remember it all? No, not necessarily, which is the reason why I work mostly with the subconscious mind. But here's another fact that people need to know. On the moment of conception, you inherit all of your mom and your dad's DNA, which means all of the traumas they didn't deal with, all of their pain, all of their wounding. So, what I find with most of my clients is that if we follow that pattern all the way back to where it originates from, it almost always goes before their lifetime. So, and here's the deal. This is how you know you have trauma. If there is something in your life that you have wanted and you have not been able to either have or retain it, keep it, you have trauma. So just think about it like that. So I deal with people who are wanting love, who are stunted somewhere in their romantic department. So what we're looking at is those patterns, and we have to look either in the childhood or before, because those don't start later on in life. They just surface later on in life. Very big difference. So we all, if we have something in life that we want to obtain that we have not yet, it all goes back to that wounding.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, it just made me think like when I was really little, one thing that you said that we don't remember the trauma of being birthed, something that I learned recently is that when you go under anesthesia, the doctors give you one medicine to like calm your body, like to shut down your body, but they have to give you another medicine to kind of erase the memory of the time so that your mind doesn't remember it, because our bodies do remember the trauma even if we're not consciously there. And so that is something that stays with us inside of our bodies. And if they didn't do that, like we would be traumatized about it, and we wouldn't even know why, because our body would be scared, right? So it is a big deal when we go through these things. And I think we think of like big examples, like what we see on TV, like when a little girl, like, like her dad beats her, like that happened to me. And then you end up getting into relationships where people are beating you, like happened to me, right? So can you give us some examples of those patterns that might not be so obvious, maybe?
Yeah, so you've heard of like the fight or flight, right? It's that
Hmm.
response that you have, it's the way you have learned how to survive your trauma. Some of us freeze. We get small. Like within my husband and I'll talk about, because we have the opposite trauma responses, and this is what I find with a lot of my clients. They marry someone with the opposite trauma response. So my trauma response is to fight. I go into fight. You know, that's what I learned to do because I, like you, came from abuse, and we fought in my family of origin. That was just normal.
Mm-hmm.
Within my husband's family, it was the opposite. He gets quiet, he gets small, he leaves, right? So it's that freeze response, it's that flight response. So we have opposing, trauma responses. And this is what I find is those are the two very common ones. So if you are in an altercation, say with your significant other, what is your response? And then we can look at that and track it back to where it started, the moment it started, right? That goes back to childhood. Those are the sort of subtle ones. If you go into a classroom, you'll see the one kid like hiding, being very quiet, and you'll see the other one loud, bully-like conduct, aggressive. Those are the two very common trauma responses. And of course, there's like everything in the middle, but we all have them. Like there's not one person that is alive today that hasn't been through trauma. Like I said, we come into the world with trauma. We exit the world through trauma. Trauma is just a normal part of the human experience as of, up to date. Like it's just normal. It's just about what we do with that trauma. So with my clients, what I'm looking to do is to neutralize the trauma. So trauma minus the emotion is wisdom. So we
Mm-hmm.
we get to glean the wisdom from it by removing that emotional tag. Because imagine just going back to each and every one of those traumatic events from your childhood and literally just pulling the tag, that emotional tag off of it. What happens is it's neutral. It's as if it wasn't even you. So it really becomes this beautiful thing where you now get to create the new identity because your identity was created in those first 5 years and you didn't have any say over it. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about generational trauma, I actually was reading a study of they did with mice, and they shocked the little feet of these little mice. And then the next generation, the first time that they put them into this cage, they were scared. Nobody told them that this is what was going to happen, but the trauma was there. And so this is a very real thing. This is not a woo-woo thing. When we're talking about generational trauma, not just in the patterns, the rules that our parents set for themselves, like our great grandparents who survived the Great Depression, like like their favorite snacks are so different than the ones who came after them. And then they grew up in the 90s and there was an abundance of everything, and it was like Lunchables and and all these
Yeah.
things in excess, right? But there's also down to the DNA level, like you were talking about the generational trauma. So what do we do? Like how do we face this? How do we take inventory? And then how do we reach out to you and say, help me with this?
Yes. Well, so if someone didn't have the meat, I think anyone who's watching this podcast is already on their healing journey, right? On some level
Yes.
or another. The easiest thing to start tracking is your emotions, your beliefs, your thoughts. And here's how I like it to go. When you get triggered, start to track your triggers. Okay.
Mhm.
So I've been giving this example recently. I have teenage daughters. It's very triggering for me when they speak to me in not so nice ways, right? And so I started to look at that. I said, okay, what am I getting upset about? And I start to just journal, and I journal all the way down till I get to the belief. So this is what I highly recommend people do. Look at the triggers. What am I really upset about? And then keep writing out the beliefs. Well, at the base of that belief was I'm not a good mom. That was at the base. That was
Mhm.
the reason why I was getting so upset, is because at the base level, I believed that I wasn't a good mom. And so then you get to work with those beliefs, right? Is that true? No, I've kept them alive. I mean, I gave birth to them. I've been feeding them. I put a roof over their head. I've gone through my healing journey even because of my kids. So I don't believe in perfection. That's not a thing. So throw that one out. But you have to look at those beliefs and say, where did this come from? Well, it didn't come directly from me. I received that from my parents and on and on and on. But you get to look at your beliefs as malleable, knowing that a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So you could change that, right? Your words, you could change. Your emotional state, you can change. It's about like healing that nervous system and just looking. So instead of getting triggered and being like, I'm triggered, making it everyone else's problem, go inward and say, what is bothering me? What is the belief that is creating this emotion in my body? And sometimes I like to even make it easier by saying, what would I have to believe about myself to feel like I'm feeling right now? What would I have to believe about life in order to be experiencing this emotion right now? What would I have to experience about you get it. You can go down the line, but you get to start really analyzing your beliefs, knowing that your beliefs are not you. You don't get to judge them. Yes, they came down the trap. You were talking about epigenetics just now. And epigenetics, you're right. That's science now. We've been, that came out, I believe, in the 50s, started to study epigenetics, where literally wrapped around every strand of DNA in your body is something called epigenetics, which is the beliefs and the emotion and the trauma of the past 7 generations. So yes, and it is our honor. It is our honor to heal it.
Yes. 7 generations. That's a lot of generations. That's a lot of baggage that our DNA is carrying. And yeah, and we get to decide, are we going to pass this on or are we going to face it, right? Because it is about facing it. And I love how, and you said it yourself, how you approach this with curiosity. There's no shame here. Like you don't shame yourself into oh, you think you're a bad person. Well, of course you think you're a bad person because you're a worse person because that's what you think.
Yeah.
And you just spiral down, right? And so approaching it with curiosity and thinking, where's this coming from? Is it even true? Is there any evidence that this is true? And and just going down that rabbit hole of questions and just finding out what's the root of it. I absolutely love that. Um, my one of the foundational things that I teach is gratitude. So I'd like to know what part gratitude plays in this journey, I guess in coming back to the right now, right? Because if we're going into these memories, we're taking the emotion out of them, but then we got to come to the right now, and that's what I use gratitude for. So I want to know what role you feel it plays in this journey.
Well, if you look at our beliefs as like, I like to see it as like a prescription that we're literally wearing, right? What gratitude, when you put the prescription of gratitude on and you see everything through the lens of gratitude, it's like, everything is always working out for my good. That's why I tell people, I'm so grateful for my trauma. I wouldn't be here today doing what I do now if I didn't go through all that. It was such a gift to me. But if I didn't heal it, it would not be a gift to me still. So it's that lens, that prescription that says, this is all working out for my good versus I'm a victim. Life is happening to me. Everyone's against me. Life sucks. Whatever those beliefs are that you got imprinted with, that's a prescription. So gratitude allows you the ability to put on the rose-colored glasses and to see that no, it actually all is a gift, and you just didn't see it through that perspective because you had the wrong prescription on.
Yes, and that's such an important point because we're looking at the same thing, and I had to train myself when something is going wrong, you start getting mad, you start getting upset. Hold up. I tell myself, like in my head, if I'm in a big crowd, sometimes if I'm by myself, I'll be like, hold on, staff meeting. What are we feeling grateful for right now? Because it does reshift that focus. Exactly like you said, I love the prescription analogy because that's exactly what it does. You're looking at the same thing, you're just looking at it differently. And that, like I said, that brings you back to the here, to the now, to the I'm safe,
Mhm.
to the level, right? Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So,
I
um,
and if I may intervene this too,
please,
when my kids were young, my older two were young, whenever I'd catch them complaining, they had to give me 10 things that they were thankful for. And we'd go like this because I wanted to shift their, I wanted to shift their energy, right? And so this, I found that it worked for me, so I started doing it with them. And at the first, when they first started listing off, they're like, like in terrible mood. Then you'd see them soften with each thing that they had to, come up with. It shifted their thought process. And so instead of going into victim, they went into victor, right? They went into, oh, I get to own all this. Look at how great my life is. And that is the shift. That's called taking thoughts captive. That's what I like to call that. It's saying I get to choose my emotional state by choosing my thoughts. So yeah, beautiful.
Yes, and it changes like your body as well. Like there's reports of faster healing, of lowered blood pressure. Like these are real results. Like people
Mhm.
literally healing from surgeries faster than they're supposed to. And it was gratitude was the what they had changed. So it's so powerful. So thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you for mentioning that. So you did mention to me that you might have a gift for the audience. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have a podcast. It's called Behind the Veil Anonymous Transformations, where you can literally, apply to be on, but you can, what happens is you'll come on, we will find your particular pattern, usually in the realm of like relationships. And I take you through a process, my personal process. And the great part about this is that it's totally anonymous, and you get a free session out of this. And I've been getting reports back that it has been profoundly powerful just in one session from people coming on them finding having really, really big transformations from it. So yeah, I would love to offer that to your audience. And just so you know, this is not for someone who has barely started their inner journey. This is for someone who has been going through the things and they have not been able to fix this one part, because it is it would be considered a pretty intense therapy for just a beginner. So but if that sounds like you and it's like this one area, I've been successful in all these other areas of my life, but this one has just really been a stuck point for me. That tends to be my ideal audience, an audience, not audience. What is the word for someone that comes on? Participant, we'll call them.
There you go. Participant. I love that. And so you can listen to the podcast or you can apply to be on or you can do both. You can listen and then apply to be on the podcast. That is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all right. And then talk to me. How can we stay in touch with you? Like, how can we follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I have my link tree that has all my socials on it. I'm on just about every platform. So pick your platform on my link tree. There's also, if you want to book a discovery call, if this sounds like some work that you'd be interested in, you could book a discovery call for me, 20 minutes of my time to see if maybe we'd be a good fit in working together, or you can come on and apply to be on the podcast. Either way, stay in my little bubble, get all my updates. And yeah, I definitely put a lot of content out there, especially on Instagram.
Awesome. So you guys make sure to check out the podcast as well as if you're interested and you want a free session, apply to be on the podcast with Tammy. Now, before we sign off, I like to know what is like your best tip, like that big tip that gives your clients the biggest aha moment. Like we want you to spill it here for us.
Okay. So, what I find to be most effective with my clients is really nurturing that inner child. So, the
Mm,
greatest work that I do with them is to really develop a relationship with that little girl within them that is still scared, that is still hurting. As she nurtures that little girl, she heals herself. And so it's just a really beautiful thing. If you watch the podcast, you'll see the little journeys that I take people through, but it almost all of them, it's this connection to that younger them that really needed to be nurtured and loved and didn't get all their needs met. And so we get to do that for our little self, and she's still in there, and she still wants all your time and your attention, and you get to be the parent that she needed. So,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
love that. I love that so much. Um, And yeah, I love to remind my clients, like, have grace on yourself. Remember, you are still that little girl. So like when you make a mistake, you spill something, right? You're not gonna yell at her. Like imagine you in pigtails when you were 4 years old. Like you're not gonna yell at her. You're gonna be like, oh, sweetie, come on,
Yeah.
let's pick it up. It's okay. Let's get some paper towels. So always have grace for yourself. And I think that just goes in line with what you said. Um, I love
Yeah, and
that.
it makes it a little bit easier when they see her, when they
Yes.
experience her, when they go to her, all of a sudden you can't unsee that. It's that, because someone could tell you that, like, oh, nurture yourself like that little child. But when they connect to her and they feel, I have them feel her emotions. They go in and they feel it for her. They really release that emotion for her. And then it's just like you can't not have that relationship when you experience her on that intimate level.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a picture of myself when I was a little kid, which is like, just full on laughing. And so I just remember I'm like, oh, you're still her. Like that's still you, like that
Hmm.
happiness, that joy. That's still
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
So
So
I love that
beautiful.
so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here with us today, Tammy. This has been absolutely amazing. And we will catch you guys next time on the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in to Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Stay bold, stay grateful, and keep becoming your best you. For more information and resources from me, Nicole, head over to nicoletexberry.com/resources. See you next time.